All right, guys. I haven't done one of these interviews in a long time, but every once in a while, when you get a certain guest, I jump at these opportunities. This is obviously a Sherdog special. My name is Keith Shillan. If you've ever watched my preview shows a couple weeks ago, you would have heard me do a very, very quick Olympic wrestling preview. And one of my bold predictions was that my next guest was going to medal at the Olympics. And that is exactly what she did. She is now Olympic silver medalist Kenny Blades. Kennedy, how's that sound? Olympic silver medalist.
Yeah, it has an amazing ring to it, honestly. I love that.
I'm going to get used to from now on, from now until you die, you're always going to be introduced as Olympic silver medalist. And I'm sure you probably want some other accolades added to that, but that's always going to be thrown in there. Olympic silver medalist Kenny Blades. Are you getting used to that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I forget, I was talking to my best friend Reese, and like at this point, like all the other accolades are like, Olympic silver medalist, like that's the one. So it's just really cool.
So obviously, U20, you won the world championship. U23, you took silver. So you've had a lot of success on the international stage. But heading into Paris, this is the big one. This is the one you've been thinking about. I mean, your whole life as a wrestler, what every young wrestler dreams of. Did it feel different going there, or was it just like another routine wrestling tournament?
Yeah, so the past 2 years I trained at Sunkiss RTC, which is out of ASU in Arizona. And we were training for like world and Olympic senior tournaments. So I would go to ranking events, and luckily those ranking events, they were pretty much the Olympics for me every time, because you can send the top 3 girls from each country, and my brackets were always ridiculously stacked because it was an Olympic weight. So honestly, going into Paris, I was like, okay, it's just another ranking event, Kennedy, so that honestly calmed me. But with the media and everything, that was something that no one really talks about, and that's what kind of like, that was a lot, because you don't really get that in U20 or U23s. It's and then plus it's the Olympics, so that's like even bigger. But yeah, it was an amazing experience, and it's something I'll never forget.
Yeah, usually, you go to the big wrestling tournaments, you get the local wrestling media, you get your USA Wrestling and different websites like that. This time you get ESPN, NBC, those things.
These are like the big dogs.
Yeah. So what was like a cool experience outside of the wrestling? Like when you're, opening games, or maybe, I don't know, ran into LeBron James, I don't know, something like, what was it cool? Simone Biles, something is something that you're like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah, I think honestly the opening ceremony was probably like one of the best parts, because so for opening ceremony they shut down the Olympic Village. It's like from 1 p.m. until we're done with the opening ceremony. So every single athlete in every country had to stay there, which meant like all of Team USA. And we had the Team USA house, and I saw like literally every famous person there, and it was so cool because like they were on my team. Like that's what made it even better. But then when we were walking to the bus, like I was talking to Stephen Curry, who's like one of my favorite basketball players, and like just casually for like an hour. And then I was just talking to like Kevin Durant. I was like, what is going on? But the coolest part was that I was just like around the people that I grew up watching. And then just the fact that I was speaking to them in person, and they were like normal people. So it's just like crazy to see like big TV stars, and then in person, they're just like the same as you.
Just another athlete trying to chase their dreams.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really cool.
How confident were you heading into the tournament? Like, I know you said it was just another ranking tournament, but I mean, did you say like, I can win this whole thing?
Yeah, for sure. Because I wrestled most of those girls, and it's either I had a win on them or I had a win and they had a win. So it was not like I was, like, well, actually, one of the Cuban girls, it's like 3 weeks before the Olympics, I actually lost to her in Spain. It was like it was a very high scoring match. Like she won, but I knew I could beat her. And then I did at the Olympics. I was like, I knew I could do that. But I was really confident going in. But I fell short in the finals against the Japanese girl. I never wrestled, but we'll just,
Well, we'll put a pin on the finals in a second. But one thing heading into the finals, I when you've been around wrestling, obviously, and they always coaches stress, the basics wins championship, double singles. But the thing that like I thought was like the viral moment for you, obviously, is that open match when you hit the most beautiful belly to back suplex that just like went viral. Is that a move that you envisioned to hit in the Olympics to that level, or is it just was this
Yeah, no, that move. So that's like probably one of the nicest moves in wrestling ever. So I hit that at junior. Well, I've hit that before in a few terms, and I did at Junior Worlds, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to hit this on the. Well, okay, going into Junior Worlds, I was like, I want to hit this at the world stage. I have to hit it this tournament. So I did, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. And then it like blew up a little bit, but then
Oh yeah,
into the Olympic trials, I was like, okay, like we're on NBC. I think we're on, I think we're on
NBC, yeah, Peacock. It was on
yeah,
Peacock.
and I was like, okay, like let's just hit this here. And then I hit it, and I was like, this is amazing. So
Yeah.
going into the Olympics, I knew it was gonna be hard because everyone's like, like I mean, when I don't know, usually you don't get in that position a lot at the highest level, but I was like, I need to hit a suplex just one time in one of the matches. And so it was almost when I hit it, it was like second nature. Like, I wasn't even thinking, I was just feeling the moves, and I got behind and I was like full send. And then I remember like seeing her neck, like not
Crunch.
seeing her head, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is not gonna be good. And then when I got on top, I like slapped and I was so excited because I knew like I was like, yes, I just hit this on the biggest stage. And then she was hurt, and I was like, oh gosh. So like I was like, man.
A
So I
weird
was
balance.
ready
It's a
for her.
weird balance, right? Like you want to
Yeah,
celebrate,
it
like
was
I just
like,
won an Olympic match. I'm moving on to the next round,
yeah,
and then like, oh shoot, I can't
yeah,
celebrate too much. I'm gonna look like a jerk because they're laying her.
exactly.
Obviously, so you had these huge goals. Getting a medal obviously is an incredible accomplishment. Very few wrestlers will ever be in that situation. But I'm sure you've always dreamed of winning gold at the Olympics. You
Hmm.
were right there. I mean, it came down to one takedown. A lot of people thought it should have been a push out, but one takedown at
Yeah,
the
I don't
very
think that's a take time, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah. But I would say it came really close. You're one move away from winning the Olympics. How's the balance from being obviously excited to accomplish such an incredible goal of medaling, but also the disappointment that you were that close? Like how's
Yeah.
like talk to me about those emotions.
For sure. When I was in the semis and I won, I was just so happy because I knew like I'm guaranteed a medal. Like, okay, we got that locked in. Like, at least I'm bringing home a medal. And then when it came to the finals, I just like, man, I wanted gold so bad. And she was really good. Her positioning was great. She's also shorter, so it was, she was fast, but I knew she was a shooter too. So I had to be like on my A game too. And yeah, I just, man, when the buzzer rang and I knew I didn't get the gold, I was really sad. But for some reason, every time I see someone else happy, even if it means I lost, I'm still happy for them because it's like the ultimate dream. Like, so
Yeah,
I hugged her, I said good job, and I smiled. But then when I went to the back with Coach Izzy, I was just like, it was really heartbreaking to me because that tournament was like I think there was two matches where I was down. Like I really had to fight to get to the
sure.
finals, and then I was thinking like, man, I fought so hard just to not, win gold. I have to do it all over again in 2028. But I mean, it was a learning lesson for sure. But I'm still proud of myself for how far I came because I wasn't even seeded. Um,
Yeah,
so that, yeah, I mean, that was like, okay, that's impressive. But I think I just like expected a lot for myself for winning gold. And so for a while, like I wasn't satisfied with silver. And like everyone was like congratulating me and stuff, but I was like, it just
sure.
wasn't
You want to
like,
go?
yeah, it was like, man, I did not want silver. So I mean, yeah, it's nice to hear Olympic silver medal because like the Olympic part's what makes it
Sure.
big. But I was just hoping for gold. So I mean, it's honestly a blessing in disguise because it just makes me want to work even harder for 2028. And then it's gonna be better because it's in America, like
Yeah.
win gold in
Yeah,
America.
yeah,
So
the whole
yeah,
stadium's cheering for you and everything.
exactly.
So one of the coming out of the stories from the Olympics for USA Wrestling was how incredibly successful the women's team was, and really not that long ago, the women's weren't really known for the wrestling. It's really boomed the last couple of Olympics. I know we had Laura take first. We had Sarah Hildebrand, long story for her. She's been around for a long time. She taken first. Helen took bronze after she's already medaled a couple of times, and you took silver. I mean, we had so much success in the women's division. But on the other side, the men's, who had so much buzz and so much excitement, one of the most loaded lineups we've ever seen, I think they had a good showing, but I think, people expected even more. What would you, and I know it's not fair to put you on the spot, but what do you think went wrong in the men's and how they could be more successful in the future?
It was honestly it was pretty shocking for me too, because we had such a strong lineup from the girls and the guys. So I thought
Sure.
we would be bringing back a ton of medals, gold specifically. But I don't really know exactly. I mean, I just think that maybe in general, wrestling community as a whole, we just need to give respect to every single country, no matter what. And that was a big learning lesson for me. Although I'm not talking for the men, but I don't know, maybe because sometimes that happens with me. I just think, oh, okay, it's just this country. It's not going to be that hard. And then I'm like, oh gosh, that was not a good way to look at it, So, I mean, maybe that might have been a factor. But going into Olympics, when we had our camp in Normandy, we all seemed really strong. But we also had on the men's side so many that team, a lot of them had a lot of accolades, so I'm not sure if they put even more pressure on themselves into thinking I have to win, and so they might just have gotten mental blocks and stuff. Whereas the girls, we don't. I mean, we only have we only had 2 Olympic champs prior, so we just there was no pressure. We are just all right, let's just go get this type of mentality. So I never really talked to any of the guys about it. Sorry.
You're good. It's all good.
Because it's such a sensitive topic.
Sure.
But I just know sometimes when you get at that level and you have so many accolades, that the mental blocks can be the worst thing in the world. So
yeah, and please don't think I'm bashing them. I mean, I have so much respect. I mean, Spencer Lee is one move away from winning gold. Aaron Brooks is one move away, seconds from being in the finals. It's when you're at that level, it's so close. Obviously, this is an MMA website, and people would kill me if I don't ask this. You're only 20 years old, so you could continue to go very far. You could 4 years from now, you'd be 24, 4 years from that, 28. I mean, you could go, you can make many Olympics, but the MMA fans will be like, Kennedy, what about punching people in the face and using your wrestling and, in the cage? Is that something? I mean, obviously your coach has a long history of training, John Jones and Holly Holm and a bunch of, world champions in MMA. Is that something you could see yourself down the road, maybe trying the fight in?
Yeah, I think, I'm definitely keeping my options open. And then I just know that a lot of the best MMA fighters are actually wrestlers. And I'm pretty good at wrestling, so it'll work pretty well.
Yeah, I think pretty good. I think that's the easy say. Pretty good. Yeah. I think that's pretty humble being, Olympic medalist. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely something I'm keeping in mind, because I think I would be an amazing fit. I mean, I'm very long, and I feel like I have a lot of power and stuff. So it's definitely something I'm considering. So yeah, and then Coach Izzy has so many connections.
Sure.
Holly's one of my good friends. Clay, Michelle Waters. I have a lot of good friends at the highest level in MMA. So yeah, we'll see.
A lot of people pulling you over there. At least usually how the warning, how they usually get you in is bringing you in to help them for a camp. That's usually how they get you. You bring in, I need help with my wrestling. Can you come and help me?
Yeah.
A couple weeks, and then the next minute, you're suddenly sparring someone in the corner, and you're like, what the heck? So I got it. So one of your messages, I've watched a lot of interviews. Your messages is obviously you have this goal of growing the sport, specifically women's wrestling. And I know one thing that you've done recently is you've joined the Cracker Jill Spotlight Squad, and you're partnering with them. Just tell me about that experience.
Yeah, no, so Cracker Jill Spotlight Squad, they contacted me, and I thought it was an amazing opportunity because they only picked 5 incredible women athletes. And, they were all competing at the global stage this past summer. And so I think it was just it was an honor that they picked me and stuff. And basically, their motto is just to show more representative of women in these sports, because I mean, there's it's crazy, but Cracker Jack actually found that nearly 45% of US teenagers can't even name a single woman professional athlete.
Yeah.
So that's like a pretty shocking number. So, they're just trying to like push the women athletics forward. And so like I'm part of that, and I'm just trying to like, share my story to everyone to hopefully like inspire little girls or even anyone to, join the sport. Because when I was younger, personally, like when I was younger, Helen was probably the only one of the only role models I looked up to for,
Sure.
a woman wrestler. But I have a different style and stuff, so I didn't, really it was Helen and Jordan Burroughs, because like I feel like my
Yeah,
style
of
was Jordan
course.
Burroughs, but then Helen's like accomplishment, like that was very inspiring. So I want to be a role model.
Yeah, and
Well,
I don't
some,
mean to interrupt you, but you wrestle very similar to Jordan Burroughs, very
yeah,
similar style.
yeah.
You know, the
It's
blast
like
doubles and yeah. Sorry to
yeah.
interrupt. Continue.
He's awesome. Yeah, for sure. So, I just want to be a role model to like a little girl, so hopefully they can look up to me and see like, yeah, I can do that. I can bring back an Olympic medal, at the age of 20 or younger, or I can, beat up the boys, stuff like that. So, yeah, just being part of Cracker Joe Spotlight Squad, they're just trying to push this movement forward. And yeah, it's just an amazing and incredible team that we have.
What I love about sports in general, and specifically women's sports, is you need one star. One star can open up the sport to so many eyes. Like I think about like Serena Williams in tennis, how that exploded, and now Caitlin Clark in the WNBA, and as Simone Biles. Like how many girls have joined gymnastics?
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Like
so
those big names. Yeah.
yeah, and having Cracker Jill picking a wrestler, I was so excited about that because this is the sport I love too. To see that, because I've seen girls who want to wrestle, and when they see someone like you. So just tell me about why is it so important what they're doing specifically for women's sports?
Yeah, I think it's just so important because, you know, like I feel like in general, sometimes women's sports are overlooked, especially with wrestling. It's still new. I mean, it was only in the Olympics like 2
Yeah,
2008 or something.
right
Like
there,
it's really, yeah. So, and then I think it's like this is like the third year that women's wrestling is actually the fastest growing sport for the
yeah,
third year in a row, which is incredible. So just the fact that they picked a wrestler is like the timing couldn't have been better. And I think, what they're doing is so important because it kind of like sometimes when you have one brand pushing something, it inspires other brands. So hopefully like Cracker Jill is like the gateway to like, push other brands into supporting women's sports. Just because, I feel like sometimes I feel like we work just as hard as the guys. And so it would just be nice to have just as much publicity. And it's almost like, although wrestling is like the same thing, there's there's a huge difference between women and men. I feel like, I don't know, there's just a difference. And sometimes one can be exciting than the other. So if we just open up those doors to women's sports in general, then I think, we can definitely get the recognition that we deserve.
and what I love right now is you mentioned it, that women's wrestling is the fastest growing sport, and the U.S. representatives are so young.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think I mean, like you guys, don't take this wrong, but you're young ladies.
Mhm.
You were in high school a couple years ago, and you talk about. I mean, I know you know this. How many different states have now added a women's division? Like
Mhm.
I live in Rhode Island, and this past year was the first ever high school state tournament that was specifically for women. And I
Yeah.
mentioned you off air, and this will be my last question. I appreciate your time. Uh, I coach a wrestling team. We have tons of wrestlers. We also have a lot of girls, and a lot of them wrestled in their first tournament, which was so cool. So, what would a message you would give to those girls, but also just all wrestlers in general, that they want to be one day to be on the stage you're at and be called an Olympic medalist? What's your message for those guys?
Yeah, I think honestly my number one message is when you put your trust in God, then anything's possible. Because once I did that and it was like I was winning, but then I was like losing and I kind of lost myself. I was like, at this point, like I was like, God, honestly, at this point, it's your plan and I trust you. So whatever happens, happens. And then everything started falling into place because he had a plan for me. And so I just want to tell the world that like God has a plan for you, and especially in like whatever sport you do, like it's not on accident that you are where you are. You know, it's for a reason. So if you just keep working hard, being dedicated, but also having fun, then everything's going to fall into place.
Yeah.
So,
I absolutely love that message. I know so many young athletes put that pressure on them, so that's such a great message. Listen, I went way over time. I thank you so much. She is now Olympic silver medalist, the great Kennedy Blades. Kennedy, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations
thank
once
you so
again.
much. Thank you.